So today I've got a kind of cool video for you guys. I'm doing another cool or crap, and I'm doing it on the Polaroid One Step 2. So if you guys don't know what the Polaroid One Step 2 is, it is a remake of the original Polaroid camera. It's kind of the one that everybody knows and loves, and it makes the cool, big-sized, square Polaroid. So I got this for my girlfriend. You guys may have seen it in a previous video where I kind of showed off some Christmas gifts. I promise I got this for my girlfriend, not for me, even though I've probably used it more than my girlfriend. But I have it, and I've taken a few pictures with it just to kind of get used to it, but I also want to show you guys some of the functions, what's cool about it, what's not, and we can get into it right now. So this camera costs a little bit over $100, and not to mention, the film isn't cheap either. So the film only comes in packs of 8 photos, and it costs about 15 bucks. So when you're talking 8 photos for 15 bucks, that's about $2 a picture. So it's definitely pricey, and it kind of comes out of the range of sort of like a little hobby to this is kind of a little bit of a serious expense. So if you guys aren't ready to spend some relatively serious money, probably wouldn't recommend it, but it does take cool pictures. I wouldn't say it's the highest quality pictures, but they're cool. So in terms of quality, a lot of it comes down to just the fact that it's kind of old film looking, a little bit vintage film, but a lot of it is gonna come down to your working of the camera. Now, there aren't too many functions on the camera to kind of mess up. You basically have 3 functions. One is to take a picture with the flash, one is to take a picture with the flash off, and then you have some dials on the front to either underexpose, overexpose, or have the exposure dead on. Now, I haven't played with the exposing up and exposing down too much, so I can't really give you guys a good idea of how that works, because I think for the most part, from what I've experienced, the exposure is fairly close to what you'd want it to be. But like I said, the flash is actually on standard. So if you take a picture just normally, you're gonna have a flash, but you have a button on the back to turn the flash off. Now, with old Polaroid cameras, you have the film, which loads into the front just like this one, but the battery was actually included with the film cartridge that you would load into the front. This one, however, charges via micro USB in the back, which is very, very helpful, because who doesn't have a micro USB laying around? So it keeps a charge for 60 days, which is pretty long. I would say, you know, if you want to go out for a shoot, just plug it in for a few minutes and you're good to go for the entire day. You don't have to worry about the battery running out. The last function I do want to talk about is the film counter up on the top. Like I said, each one of these packs of film only comes with 8 photos, so they have a helpful little dot system on the top to show you how many photos are left. So when you turn the camera on, it displays how many photos are left. So there's 8 dots to correspond with each piece of film that you have left in the camera. This one right now only has 1 piece of film left, so I can take a photo and then show you guys the reloading process for the new pack of film. So first, let's go take a photo of this cool place right behind me. If I didn't already mention it, I am in a town called Felicity, California, and it's an interesting town. It's got the entire history of the world written on granite, and it's got some cool structures that I'm gonna be taking some photos of right now. So let's check out the process of taking the photos with the Polaroid. Okay, so the first thing to note about taking photos with this is that this isn't a standard single lens reflex camera. So when you look in the viewfinder, you're not seeing what is coming through the lens. You're kind of seeing like a side view, sort of an approximated view of what you should be expecting the camera to take photos of. So that is one thing to keep in mind, because if you're needing a little bit of precision in your photo, like for example, yesterday I was taking a photo of my brother at a baseball game, and I wanted to take a picture through the netting. So I didn't just look through here, I had to make sure that this piece wasn't being blocked by the fence. So I popped the fencing around the lens and then looked through here and composed my shot. So that could be an issue, you know, if you're not really aware that this is really what's taking the photo. you could really get a crappy shot, and that's $2 wasted. So when taking the photo, this is an instant film camera, so you are gonna be getting a photo fairly instantly, but it's not instantaneous. You aren't gonna get a photo right when it pops out. You're gonna kind of get a little bit of a gray shot, and it kind of develops over the course of 15 minutes. So one thing that I made a mistake about multiple times was thinking that the film was already developed when it pops out, but it's not. As you'll see in a second, when you take the photo, it kind of is protected by a black piece of plastic for a short period of time, and as soon as you pull it out, it can get exposed to the daylight. So what I like to personally do is leave it covered a little bit, because I've made the mistake, like I said, of pulling it out in the daylight, and you still get an image, but it's highly, highly degraded by basically light leaks. So we can go through the first process of taking a photo of this beautiful church right here, and yeah, let's check it out. Okay, so I've turned the camera on. There's just a little switch in the back, and the red button is basically go. So you'll see I'm taking the photo right now. It's very easy. Like I said, there you go, there's the black plastic. I want to keep this kind of protected from the sun because I don't want any additional unnecessary light leaks to be getting in. So even though it's instant film, I do want to kind of try to protect it as much as I can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pop it in my bag. Just keep it protected for a little while. So popping in the new film is fairly easy, fairly self-explanatory. Got a little switch right here, pops the tray open. Just gonna pull the old tray out and get the new film popped in. So pretty self-explanatory. This side just feeds right into the front. Pop it, and it sends out the first protective layer, and you're ready to go to take a new photo. So you saw how easy it is to take a photo with this. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the thing that kind of gets lost in the days of digital photography is that the film, like I said, it's not cheap. And the problem with it not being cheap and having a very limited supply of film that you can use on hand, you can't just keep snapping photos over and over, is that you have to be careful when taking your photos. So being extra careful with your framing, being really picky on the shots that you want to take is what's really important, because you don't want to be snapping 2 or 3 photos of the same thing, which is something you might do with your smartphone or your camera. I know I do it, but with this, I really only want to be taking one shot and be done with it. So that is the huge thing to keep in mind, because when you're spending like $45 on 3 packs of film, you don't really want to be wasting all of that money. Now, as far as the film goes, you've seen that there's color photos, and then there's also black and white. The film that I have in here right now is black and white, and the quality is decent. It's not sharp, it's not the best quality in the world, but it has a really cool look to it that I think that everybody who gets a Polaroid camera is really looking for. Okay, so to bring it all together, is the Polaroid One Step 2 cool or crap? Now, I'm gonna kind of give it a 50-50. I think it's really cool if you know what you're getting yourself into, because like I said many times, this isn't exactly cheap, so it's not something that you just kind of like pick up on a whim, and the quality is obviously far from professional. But if you know what you're getting yourself into, and you know the kind of style of photos you're getting, the kind of quality that you're getting from these, it's definitely a cool product, because I definitely wouldn't qualify this as a gimmick, but it is definitely something that is for a serious hobbyist, or even just somebody who would like some unique looking photos and some physical copies of their photos and their trips and their adventures. Because I know the #1 reason I wanted to get this is because we're planning a trip pretty soon to Iceland, and it would be really cool just to have some physical photos, because I'll tell you what, there's nothing like getting a physical photo right there in front of your eyes and actually being able to bring something home. So this gets a cool stamp in my book. I would definitely recommend getting this camera if you think it's the right product for you. So I do want to thank you guys for watching the entire video. If you have made it through the whole video, like, comment, subscribe, and I have more videos like this coming in the near future.